Hello everyone and welcome to my review of every Green Commander! That's way too much energy. I can't keep that up. Hello everyone, welcome to my review of every single mono Green Commander currently legal in Commander. This is the third one in the series of reviews of every Commander of a color. The black and blue ones I've already done. If you haven't seen them before, go watch them after this. If you're new here, I will be reviewing all of them, saying a blurb about them, which might have something to do with its competitive viability, but it might just be a stupid joke, because I can do whatever I want. Now let's stop wasting time and get into every Green Commander. Kodama of the North Tree. The North Tree, evidently, is a small and pathetic shrub. Orochi, the Sky Asunder, the only storm cloud I've ever seen that cannot fly. Orochi, the Mocking Sage. As awful as this is, I will admit this is some of the most unique sort of hexproof I've ever seen. It can still be targeted, and there's not many ways of granting hexproof in green, but this admittedly can get around some of the sneaky removal options used to deal with them. Granted, it's still too weak to be played, but it can be a meta pick if you've got a really freaking weird playgroup. Menghuo, Barbarian King. Fun fact, the only mono-green barbarian, making him king of no one. Lady Zhurong, Warrior Queen. Admittedly not the only green warrior, so I guess you get a pass. Miri, Cat Warrior. Not a bad couple of keywords, but far too boring to build anything around. Ayumi, the Last Visitor. Sorry, we're not accepting visitors at this time. Please come back never. Sasuke, Son of Seshiro. A lot more worthy to be in charge of warriors than Lady Zhurong, but that's not saying much. Bounteous Kirin. Yeah, this needed to be 7 mana. Kodama of the Center Tree. In case you want to play mono green spirit tribal, but have it be somehow worse than it already would be. Iname, Life Aspect. Interesting ruling with this one. You actually will still get the effect when you kill this, choose to exile it, and return it to the command zone. This means you could technically do some interesting things by discarding cards and consistently refilling your hand to double up on discard benefits, although admittedly this is a little too mana intensive for too little gain for me to recommend it. Kodama of the South Tree. All 3 Kodamas have a combined 12 decks on EDH Rec. Don't play the Kodamas. Jugon, the Rising Star. The worst of the line of recently buffed death-requiring dragons. Myojin of Life's Web. The best of the unfortunately terrible hand-cast-requiring Myojins. Shisato, Whispering Hunter. I thought the defining characteristic of snakes were their distinct lack of limbs. Oh boy, that's a name. Jedit Ojinin of Efrava. On one hand, the card sucks, but on the other hand, that tiger has a fucking sword! Sakiko, Mother of Summer. Expensive mana cost, but that is a surprisingly decent effect for a card this low on the list. Iwamori of the Open Fist. You mean a hand. An open fist is just a hand. Glissa Sunseeker. She gets a lot better after joining Phyrexia. Autumn Willow. 6 mana for a 4/4 with bad hexproof. How exciting. Shizuko, Caller of Autumn. Helpful in that it lets your opponents put you out of your misery faster. Thriss, Nantuko Primus. Become Immense is a good card, but I think the whole point is you don't have to spend a lot of mana to get it. Namata, Grove Guardian. Just play Slimefoot. Isao, Enlightened Bushi. Here's a fun little tidbit for you. Isao is the only green samurai, so that second ability is almost useless except for making this a bad Thrun impression. Sylvos, Rogue Elemental. Confusingly, not actually a rogue elemental. Dosan, the Falling Leaf. As we all know, there is no image more threatening or imposing than a falling leaf. Kaisa. For the same cost and effect, it is 2 power and 1 toughness weaker than Menghuo. And believe me, Menghuo is not the bar you want to be comparing yourself to. Masumaru, First to Live. And if you play him, you will be the first to die. Melira, Sylvok Outcast, in case you have a playgroup where all the other players are Craig Blanchett. Verdaloth, the Ancient. Just play Slimefoot. Seki, Season's Guide. It's not bad as long as your opponent doesn't use Targeted or Mass Removal on it or any of your spirits. Then it's unplayable garbage. Sir Farron, the Hengehammer. in case you want to play Voltron but still want to attack with 2 creatures, thus negating the entire point of Voltron. Hua Tuo, Honored Physician, faces severe competition in the physician world by Yawgmoth, who is a better physician in every way. Arasta of the Endless Web, so much worse at Spider Tribal than Ishkana that I would almost hesitate to put it in the 99 of that deck. Molimo, Maro Sorcerer, wildly outclassed by the other Maro Sorcerer, which is saying something because that one isn't that good either. Renata, Called to the Hunt. If you must go mono-green counters, I would definitely recommend Rishkar over this. Baru, Fist of Krosa. Again, if your hand is open, it's not a fist, it's just a hand. Kogla, the Titan Ape. I truly wonder what obscure media they're referencing here. Sirach, the Hunt Caller. Do you think the Hunt Caller called the call to the hunt to the hunt? Jol Real, Monvoli Recluse. There's another Jol Real coming up that is significantly more evil and therefore more fun than this one. Multani, Maro Sorcerer. I guess Maro Sorcery in general must just be a pretty garbage form of sorcery. Questing Beast. Doesn't lend itself to any particular strategy, but I will say this is one of the most efficient creatures on rate I have ever seen, and that alone almost makes me want to play it. Eladamri, Lord of Leaves. Behold, my ferocious, unbeatable army of falling leaves! God Eternal Ronus. Not the most powerful overrun effect, but it is an overrun effect you have in the command zone in case that's very important for your strategy to access at all times. Dwayne the Gilt Leaf Dian, outclassed by pretty much every other legendary elf, except Glissa. And Thausa, Sartessan Hero. On one hand, this card sucks, but on the other hand, this woman is stabbing 2 Minotaurs in the jugulars at once. How badass is that? Pelucranos, World Eater, ranks 3rd place on the World Eating tier list, just beneath Ulamog and Galactus. Patron of the Orochi. This card is actually pretty freaking good, just a tad too expensive to be a viable commander, but great in the 99 and not the worst in a slower playgroup. Nylea, Keen-Eyed. I'd like to point out that they made 2 Nyleas, both pointing bows in the air, but neither one is able to hit flying creatures. Maybe she's just not as keen-eyed as people say. Seshiro, the Anointed. I don't know what this guy expects to hit behind his back, but I will admit this is pretty badass. Sachi, daughter of Seshiro. Sachi, your dad is a badass. Jol Rael, Empress of Beasts. The perfect green deck if you are pure evil. Nylea, God of the Hunt. Most people think Enchantress, but this lends itself more to the classic big dumb green creatures deck. Never complicated, but always fun. Vorinclex, Voice of Hunger. The second perfect green deck if you are an irredeemable piece of garbage. Just kidding, this card is hilariously evil, and I'm proud of you for playing it. Yorvo, Lord of Garenbrig. Probably better than either Nylea if you're going for green devotion synergy, but it's also just a pretty great beater with all the counter doubling shenanigans that green has. Thrun, the Last Troll. I had a Thrun deck once. It was, real bad. Reki, the History of Kamigawa. If you've been paying any attention to this video, you should know the quality of most green legends. Kamal, Fist of Krosa. In case you're still evil but want to be more subtly evil than Jolrael or Vorinclex. Ovia Pashiri, Sage Minecrafter. It's hard to make a bad one-mana legend. Granted, this one isn't the most mind-blowing general out there, but if you're playing mono-green tokens, this is not a bad option at all. Rishkar, Pima Renegade. Cryptolith Rite is a good card, and Cryptolith Rite in the command zone is a good deck. Grun, the Lonely King.
No, I do not want a banana.
Ronas the Indomitable. There are few creatures that are a more effective blocker than one with Death Touch and Indestructible. Mowu, Loyal Companion. Rutro. Satan. Satan? 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 Satan, Krosan Protector. There is a surprising amount of druid support in the game, specifically this nightmare. Maybe he is Satan. Grothama, All Devouring. The best deck for green's plethora of giant growth effects, and a hilarious amount of mind games for what is essentially a monstrous screaming worm. Sasaya, Orochi Ascendant. Good god, imagine Nyxborn Ancient with this. Multani, Yavimaya's Avatar. the sheer pinnacle of the extremely shitty art of Maro sorcery. Nissa, Vastwood Seer. In case you want to build an entire deck around the worst character in the Gatewatch. I said it. Yeva, Nature's Herald. If you've ever listened to Josh Kwai speak for 5 minutes, then you'd know that Vidalcan Orrery and effects like it are pretty damn incredible. Titania, Protector of Argoth. Hilariously synergizes amazingly with Jol Rahel. Azusa, Lost but Seeking. Turns out 3 lands a turn is a lot of freaking lands. Freyalise, Llanowar's Fury. Lore-wise, she's the one who nerfed all the Planeswalkers, including Bolas, so if you really think about it, the entire War of the Spark and every genocide Bolas committed to get there was really her fault. Gulta, Primal Hunger. If you're playing this right, you will always have a 2-mana 12/12 in the command zone, ready to stomp faces in. Silvala, Heart of the Wilds. This is when we get into the really broken stuff. Gore Claw, Terror of Kal Sisma. It's not particularly hard to guess how she got that name. Marwyn, the Nurturer. Now that I think about it, this is far better than Yorvo for the counter-doubling face-smashing strategy. Yisan, the Wanderer Bard. Competitively speaking, probably by far the most powerful mono-green commander. A well-versed player will be able to kill you faster than you can say, pun intended. Ayula, Queen Among Bears. Green may not have a worthy queen among warriors, nor a king among barbarians, but it sure as hell has a worthy queen among bears. Omnath, Locus of Mana. Turns out he was still good even without red or blue. Gargos, Vicious Watcher. This card is so single-handedly powerful that it convinced me to try and build a Changeling deck, which is the single worst deck I have ever conceived of. But when you're not an idiot, this card is nuts. And the single most played green commander in history is Izuri, Renegade Leader. Magic has always had elves, and when you combine like 27 years of elf tribal support, you get an absolutely insanely efficient and strong commander that is the clear champion of any other army in green. Even bears. As much as it pains me to say that. Anyway, that was a quick review of every mono green commander in Magic's history. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like and possibly subscribe if you like more. I'm gonna go through the other colors and the other color combinations. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any uploads. Goodbye!